Over the years, I've often wondered if what I ate influenced my desire to move. I love to move. You see, I have 6 sisters, and let's just say their self-discipline with food is different than mine, and so is their health. So today, I will share what I eat to keep me feeling and performing at my best. Before I do, it's important that I share early experiences that led me down the path to the food choices that I make today. Let's get started. Well before foods were labeled as organic, my mother would source natural, unprocessed foods free of preservatives. Remember the sliced white processed bread of the 60s and 70s? Well, that was the only bread to be found in the grocery shelves of our small town. My mother would have none of that. Instead, she sourced and ordered bread from Joe in Vermont, across the border. He baked preservative-free bread in his own ovens using only natural ingredients. My mom also sourced her meat and eggs from local farmers, and I remember the local apple man and milkman making frequent home deliveries. Despite having 11 children to feed on a very limited budget, my mother prioritized her spending. Our clothes often arrived from donations, but our food was always wholesome. I learned to shop in the periphery of the grocery store, where they locate all the vegetables, fruits, and proteins. I frequent farmers markets when possible, and like my mom, I have my own vegetable garden. "You are what you eat" is a quote that I remember from my early teen years. While I can't remember exactly when I first heard that expression, I do have very specific memories of 3 events in my life that altered my eating habits. The first event occurred on the Christmas Eve when I was 13 or 14 years old. Each one of my 5 older sisters made their favorite dessert. They were delicious. I indulged in those desserts, but I didn't feel very good afterwards. And I didn't understand how something that was so yummy could make me feel so crappy. Like my mom, my aunt was also particular about what she ate. When I mentioned to her how sugar made me feel, she started lending me her copies of Prevention magazine. This opened up my world. I loved reading them. I learned about the importance of micronutrients that we get from different foods and how each vitamin, mineral, phytonutrient, and flavonoid played a role in my growing body. The gift I received that Christmas was the realization that the food choices I made could impact how I felt. The second event that changed my eating habits happened during a high school chemistry assignment. We could present on any topic related to chemistry. I was so excited. In preparation, I read everything I could find about food additives and preservatives. I was both fascinated and shocked to read that colors, preservatives, additives that they put into processed foods, snacks, and candy could cause hyperactivity and so many other negative effects on the body. How could this be legal? I was only given one body to take care of, and that's what I was planning on doing. From that point on, I knew it was up to me to be more diligent about reading labels and making food choices that only contained real food. I never ate at a fast food place after that. The third event that influenced and changed my eating habits occurred in my 50s. While preparing for a bodybuilding figure competition, I learned to appreciate the importance of fine-tuning macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Not only did foods have to be healthy in their own right, but they also had to have the right ratio of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. If I wanted to achieve my goal, I had to abide by the rules that was going to allow me to do so. I learned a lot about strength training, and though I thought I was self-disciplined, it took it to a whole other level. The biggest lesson I learned was the importance of healthy protein in your diet, such as chicken, fish, and legumes. So many of us skimp on our proteins. We opt for the ease and comfort of fats and carbohydrates, but protein provides the amino acids that our cells need to function, repair, and grow. Since that time, I learned to start building my meals and snacks around proteins. I never got into drinking sodas, hard liquor, or beer. To this day, I consume at the most 1 glass of wine every few months. However, my weakness and indulgence is black tea, but I limit myself to 1 tea bag a day. It's surprising how many cups of tea you can make with 1 tea bag. How do I handle food temptations, you might ask? Well, when I see a food, I think about the individual ingredients. I'm looking at them and I'm like, if I wouldn't want to eat the individual ingredient that makes up the food, why would I eat the whole food? So I find a way to continue eating something I love if research shows that an ingredient in it isn't so healthy for us, but then I try to replace it with a healthier version. For example, over the past decade, science tells us that sugar is more harmful than helpful. So gradually, over a 2-year period, I went from eating 80% dark chocolate to 100% dark chocolate. All the greatness of cocoa without any of the sugar. It truly is delicious. It was a gradual transition, giving my taste buds time to adapt. Now that you know my history with food and what I've learned from these experiences, we can talk about my nutrition plan today. In a nutshell, I eat the foods that make my mind feel alert and my body wanting and happy to move. Largely, I follow the recommendations in the Mediterranean diet. My typical breakfast is a spinach salad with colorful peppers, a sprinkle of feta, some crushed walnuts, a few berries, served with eggs, roasted buttercup squash, or if I'm in a rush, a half a slice of whole grain bread, topped with some good quality olive oil and vinegar. I think you get the picture. Like you, for most of my life, I thought that the food choices I made were just nourishing me. It so happens that we're also feeding our millions of gut microbes, along with their numerous bacteria. Researchers are just learning that some of our microbiome bacteria influence our motivation to move. Recent findings published in the journal Nature found a microbiome-dependent gut-brain pathway that regulated motivation to exercise in mice. They are currently doing studies with people. Research has already shown us that our microbiome thrives on micronutrients, the nutrients we get when we eat a variety of vegetables, fruits, nuts, and whole grains. Science has also shown us that our bones and muscles need protein for the amino acids, the building blocks that protein provides. I don't think we need to wait for another study. I encourage you to think about what you eat, not just by how it feels and tastes while you're eating it, but how it makes you feel after it's consumed. Make your changes gradually. Make your choices based on foods that give you the energy to reach your goals and to age with vitality. Before you go, I encourage you to check out this video about a fruit that's been shown in numerous studies to provide essential micronutrients for our bones. I wish you all the best.